We are Steve and Jill. Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. I'm Stephen Jack Butala.
And I'm Jill DeWit, and this is the Land Academy Show.
This is episode number 2198. Today, Jill and I are talking about the profile of a perfect land and house flip in 2025.
You know, it's interesting. I'm sure there's people listening right now like, what? It's okay? What are you guys doing? I see all this stuff for sale. Like, yep, it's okay. Please remember that in times like this, there are other investors. You know what? I'm going to go on record saying this. In times like this is when the investors come out.
That's what.
There are people like us.
You stole my thunder.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
Okay.
It's good that we're thinking the same thing.
But
that's who your seller is. That's who your buyer is.
This is it. They know what's coming. They see it chipping down, and you've got an amazing property. You already cut to the chase. You bought it so low. I know I'm jumping into the topic, but you know, so low now that they're like, okay, I can't lose on this one, which is as it should be. That's why you bought it like that. And they have the dough. Other investors like us are all putting all their dough together and watching for amazing deals. And we'll get more into that here in just a few minutes.
Each day on the show, we answer a question from our Land Academy member Discord forum, take a deep dive into land-related topics by your request.
Brent wrote, hello, positioning/negotiating question for a newbie. I have an interested seller who has 2 side-by-side parcels that she's interested in selling. One is 1.49 acres, the other is 2.21 acres. She's asking for a higher price on the belief that there's more value in the combined acreage than selling individually.
I put this in here
That's cute.
To bait you.
That's cute.
Because Jill's going to blow her top.
That's cute. That's very sweet. Because I always, when I buy a dozen eggs, it's more expensive than 6 or 1. It's always that price.
I swear I put it in here on purpose.
That's right. Brent, send me her number. Yeah.
I got 2 cars. I'm going to put them together, sell them all at once for you, and I'm going to charge you more.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. All of the A's are looking good, so hope to get this deal. Any guidance on how to approach this conversation would be appreciated. So without calling her a dingbat.
I can tell you how old she is and what her life has been like. She grew up on a farm.
Well, wait a minute.
She's in her 80s or 90s.
Well, hold on a moment. She just doesn't know. That's the bottom line. She's like, but wait a minute. At 1.5 acres and a little over 2 acres, now we're pushing 4 acres. We're pushing, so that's 4 acres. You know, like, wow, this is great for one person. Yeah, but the conversation is, this is really easy too. Brent, I would say, when was the last time you, like, you know, do you drink? You know, yeah, what do you drink? I drink Miller Lite. You know, when was the last time you paid more for a 12-pack than you did for a 6-pack or one beer sitting at the bar? It's the same with land.
Here's where this comes from. Agricultural property has been and still is, when it's adjacent like this, more valuable when it's bigger.
True.
So that's where this is coming from. She's just coming from a different world.
True.
And old people, people who've been older people from their, you know, from like 1930, 40, 50, it was very frequent to buy somebody else's ranch or their farm and consolidate it into their own and make it one APN because the taxes were cheaper.
True.
On a thin margin agricultural business, especially back then, every dollar helps. So that's what's going on here.
Yeah.
She thinks that she's already done the work because it's adjacent, and I'm telling you, she has a farming background and she's in her 80s.
Probably it. Yeah.
We all know that this is not the case.
It's not the
We
case.
also know that having 2 APNs next to each other is better than having 1 APN altogether.
Exactly.
And so we should be, because we know that, rewarded for what may happen in the future by selling it to 2 different people. It should be cheaper, not more.
Well, and that's the thing too. When I go to sell it, Brent, because Lord knows we've done this many times, I'll post them separately, and then I post them, and then in the description I write, hey, by the way, I'm cutting a deal if you want to pick up the 2 at the same time. You're going to pay less. That's just the way you buy it, and that's just the way you sell it. Now, how you explain that to her, that's a whole nother thing.
Also,
that's a tough one.
One of them's going to be better than the other. That's just how
True.
real estate is.
Good point.
You need to be rewarded for buying both of them and getting the upside on whichever piece of property is better.
Which has better access.
Very
which
often.
has a better view. Whatever
Very often.
It is.
You buy two properties like
Utilities.
this for 10 grand. You sell the first crappier one for 10 grand. And now the second one is all profit. So
True.
this happens to us all the time. And geez, thousands of times we've orchestrated it this way. So your costs are all covered. You're done. Now you've got the one that everybody loves. Your basis, or not your basis, but you've covered your costs. It's over. Now you sell it for retail.
For 22.
Sell it for 22, which may be even over market because you're going to wait 2 years because your costs are all covered.
Good point.
This is a good deal for you.
It is a good deal. Good job.
Today's topic, the profile of a perfect land and house flip in 2025.
Do you want me to do land and you do house?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go first.
We're going to have the same answers. That's my guess, which doesn't happen.
Or I can do it all, and you can sit back if you like.
At the end, I have some stuff to say.
Okay,
if
got
you
it.
don't already say it.
Okay, good. All right, so the profile of a perfect land flip right now is this. Well, fortunately too, I have Jack. He's going to go into the right areas where things are moving. Things are not drastic. It's not going backwards, and it's not overly saturated with everybody. Like, it looks like mass exodus. That's something that it might be attractive for you to go into. I'm sure for a lot of buyers are like, oh, I can get things really cheap because everyone's leaving. Okay, I get that, but hold on just a moment. Let's make sure there isn't a real reason why. You need to make sure that it's still a good area. It's just a sign of the times right now, and it will come back. So, and that applies to land or houses because that happens. Like we talked about earlier this week, again, I'm mirroring what Jack said. There's some COVID resetting that's happening. There's some things that went artificially too high and too crazy, and things are kind of getting back in line now. So you have to account for that. So the perfect land flip for me is this. We hit that area. I'm going to probably have an above average return call volume because everybody's like, oh, thank you. I didn't know what I was going to do. I see even agents that are closing up shop right now because things aren't selling. They're not making money. So there's less real estate agents that are, out there and even interested in my property. So I'm so happy to get your letter, tell me what to do. I'll take it. Whatever it is, I'll take it. It's sad, but that's, again, we talked about that earlier this week too. I qualify them. I knew right away on the phone that they're in a bind and they do need the dough. And so we're going to work out an amazing deal. And this does tie up all this week. And how do I know it's an amazing deal? When I did stuff like we talked about too, and some of the questions about, how we're pricing things way lower than what we did a year ago, way lower than what we did 6 months ago. I'm like, shucks. I know that you're staring at an offer that I sent you last fall for $13,000. I'm so sorry. Oh, hey, I'll throw out Tara's. Tara had one that was $15,000 a year ago, and she got it for $500. Like what? Yeah, that's extreme. But maybe my $15,000 last fall is now $5,000. That's a very, very realistic. And they're like, you know what? I get it, and I need that $5,000. I'll take it. So that's what happened. And now, why did I even act on that $5,000? Because I know what I can do and make it 12 or close to 15, something like that. Maybe even 15, because that's what I would have spent for it back then, right? Not what it's retail at. That's what I would have spent to do. So I might buy it for $5,000, and I think I can sell it for $20,000 because I know what the break point is. I know what people and these other investors are looking to spend, and they're happy to get that deal. They don't have the calls coming in like I do, and I do it all really, really fast.
There are a disproportionate number of people, and if you're young, this is hard for you to understand, who are done in life financially, bored, and looking for an amazing deal on anything. A lot of people in rural areas specifically are looking for amazing land deals. They know the market. They're usually older. Maybe they own a machine shop. They're retired. I don't know what their exact profile is. If they have the perception that what you're selling is a great deal, great value, they're going to buy it. And so the profile of a piece of property that you want to, or a house that you want to flip, creates that perception for somebody who's loaded or has a ton of extra money and a ton of extra time on their hands, and they're going to buy it from you. You have to create that perception. You can't just count on the fact that you're going to list it for below whatever it is on the MLS, and that guy's going to find it. You have to create it through neighbor letters and Facebook Marketplace. We're entrepreneurs. Everybody who's listening to this is either an entrepreneur or you want to be. So we want good deals. We want to buy low and sell high. These flips right now need to be spectacular deals, or please don't do them. Mm-hmm. You get so much mail out there that you're creating a couple of great deals a month at least that fit the profile. And then get it in the hands of somebody who can really sell it and say, hey, you know, it should look like this to a seller. The neighbor letter that you would create is, I know that you own this house in XYZ zip code. It looks like you bought it in 1978 for 13 grand. Well, I have a property that's 3 blocks away from you that needs a bunch of work, but it's close to 13 grand. So this looks like you might be interested. And you send out a letter to everybody like that around there doing a mail merge, and you're going to sell it.
Yep. So, so how does this tie to the house flip thing? Think about this one. This is, again, I hope you've not been, paying attention to the news, because this is when the investors are coming out. They're looking for your deal.
Correct.
They're looking for your land deal, and they're looking especially for your house deal.
Please create a real estate transaction for them.
That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
And that's a good neighbor letter / build a list of buyers that are doing houses in that area. Not hard to do. That's a whole nother show. But that's the perfect house flip. You buy it, like you said earlier this week, we have one for $135,000. The break point's $250,000. If I serve it up on a planner, anything below $200,000 or at $200,000, they're going to love it.
Gone.
And they'll make it great, because their goal is to go in and do what they do best.
Yep.
They're investors. They already have a crew. They're going to send the crew there next week that's wrapping up on this one down the street, and they're going to move over to yours, and then they're going to rent it out maybe. I don't know. But whatever it is, they're gonna go for that next level, and that's the perfect profile.
Join us next week for a few more interesting episodes. You are not alone in your real estate ambition.
We are Jack and Jill.
Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.
We hope you find our content valuable, and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.